To this computer. Good evening, everybody. Now, I had a chat with Abby the other day. Um, she was having, I think, a shoulder pain, if I remember right, and I gave her some advice. Now, kind of not my normal advice, like poke here, poke that, and do this and do that. Um, because now you guys certainly, and if I happen to share this out into the rest of the world on YouTube and wherever else. Um, Everyone has a toolbox of things that they know, and you guys, as my members, have an incredible toolbox of things that you at least have access to. You don't necessarily have it locked up in the knowledge bank, but it's you have access to it, and you can always ask me. So there's stuff like foam rolling, there's nerve glides, there's acupuncture points that you know, there's various little techniques. You've got muscle testing, you've got various things that you can use for your body that you know work to a degree. Okay, and then there's stretching, yoga, Pilates, all the usual stuff, exercises, things you've picked up along the way, whether it's from me, whether it's from a physio, from a doctor, from a friend, whoever. Okay? We all have a big old toolbox of things that we can do. So what I suggested was was to essentially come up with something herself. Okay? And this is how I worded it, and this is how I want you to think about it, is that let's say you've got an ache or a pain. Okay, but this could be extrapolated into practically any area of life. Okay. Now, as much as I've told you, look, we can make this 100% better. Okay, it can be 100% better. Fine, we kind of have a knowledge that things could all things being perfect, go from awful to perfect in an instant. It could. Okay, and that's I still want you to kind of have that in mind as like that's a possibility. But what is much more likely is that we can go from one state to a slightly better state. Okay, so if we talk about percentages, let's say, or 1 to 10. Okay, let's say you've got an ache or a pain in a leg or like a muscle ache, and one would be it's agony, it's like cramping all the time, you can barely walk, and 10 is like, yeah, this is absolutely, my leg is absolutely perfect. So let's say it's a 5. Okay. I might say, yeah, you can get that to a 10, um, because I know you could, but what's much more realistic is getting it to a 5 or a 6, okay, from a 4, very, very quickly. So ask yourself, okay, what from my bank of knowledge or whatever it is I might know, what would take me to that 4 or 5 or 6 now? Okay, in a matter of minutes. Okay, and you go, all right, okay, what is it? Okay, and you ask your intuition. Okay, because it could be something manual, something I've talked about already. So, like an acupuncture point or a foam rolling thing or a stretching thing or a strength thing or some kind of exercise or movement. Could be any of those things. But it could also be something completely random, like finishing a project that you have started and haven't finished. It could be doing a task that you've been putting off. It could be cutting the grass. It could be going and have a lie down for 10 minutes. Okay. It might not even involve meditation. It might just be literally lying down for 10 minutes and having the TV on. Okay. That's going to help me go from a 4 to a 5 or a 6. And, but what you need is 100% conviction that, do you know what? This thing that I'm about to do is going to take me from a 4 to a 5 or a 6. It's going to make a sizable improvement in my situation right now, or in the very, very, very near future. If we're talking about a body, right now is kind of our body is very good at adapting, is very good at making very, very fast changes. If we're pushing this out to stuff like relationships, to our jobs and finances and stuff, this might not be, excuse me, quite so instant. It might be a few days, a few weeks, possibly a few months. Um, but it's the same thing. So if we talk about money for a second, it's like, right, at the moment, there's X amount coming in every month. And if I go, right, okay, well, I want to be up at Y amount, and that's, Y amount is maybe double, triple, quadruple what you're at right now. But what do I know that I could do that could take me one step? Okay. What can I do that with 100% conviction and it's easy? Okay. It's not hard. What could I do that's easy and not hard that will take me from X to X plus a bit next month? Okay. Or in the next couple of weeks. Okay. Or in the next day. Okay. So it's the same idea, but on a different topic. Okay, so again, that could work on a relationship, that could work on a job, it could work on, yeah, as I said, finances, it could work on our body. Okay, the body is a very instant thing. Okay, it will give you changes very, very quickly. But all these others might take a little bit longer. Okay, not too much longer because we don't want it to be like far off into the future because it might very well be that one day, yes, you're a millionaire or a multi-millionaire. For kind of a lot of people, in terms of, and certainly in terms of property, one day I will be a millionaire in terms of property, and it's probably not going to be that far in the future, okay, in terms of how much property I own, depending on house prices over the next few years. Um, but on paper, I'll be a millionaire because that's what my house will be worth. It doesn't mean I'll have that in cash, but I will be effectively a millionaire. Um, so what could you do that you have absolute 100% certainty will work and will get you to at least kind of one step or two steps beyond where you are? Now, a mini story about me and what's happened today is nothing particularly exciting, or really, is that I went for it was 10 and a half miles, 10 and a half mile walk. Um, and I did it a few weeks ago, exact same route, exact same run. And I got exactly the same time. Okay. Well, I say exactly the same. I didn't time it properly, but roughly the same time, roughly 1 hour 45. Um, and I got home today and I sat down after I finished my run, I sat down, had a cup of tea, posted on social media because that's what you do. And then by the time I stood up, everything had seized up. It's like my calves were tight, my legs were tight, my legs are heavy and all that kind of stuff. And I had to go pick up the kids like a little while later, and my legs were still stiff. This is maybe 2 hours later, my legs were still a bit stiff. So I was like, okay, well, while I'm sat in my car waiting to pick up the kids, because I arrived at school a little bit early, so I had 10, 15 minutes. So what can I do right now that in the next 10 minutes is going to move my legs from where they are now to 10, 20% better? And I did that then, sat in the car. And I did nothing. That was a mini meditation. That was just like, okay, I'm going to sit here. I'm just going to focus on my legs and bring awareness to my legs. And that was it. And then I got out the car and I walked a little bit easier than I was walking before. And then I got home and I basically did the same thing again. Now, what did I do when I got home? So I just kind of, I went up and down the stairs a few times. I did cooked and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm sat here on my legs. They're not back to normal, but they are very much more normal. Okay. So instead of let's say my normal is 10, 9 to 10, they're probably about a 7 or an 8 now. Whereas earlier, with all the stiffness and tightness and stuff, I would say they were a 4 or a 5. So I've gone from a 4, possibly a 5, being stiff and tight and kind of struggling a little bit with going up and down stairs, to them being an 8-ish, and stairs are a little bit like, coming downstairs is a little bit not unsteady, but slightly tight. I can feel it, but walking around on the floor just generally feels absolutely fine. And I've basically used that technique there to do that. So what can I do right now that will move me from here to here? Okay, what's the thing that I can think? What's the thing that I can do from my bank of knowledge that I have 100% conviction in will work? And that's the key thing. Okay, is what do I have 100% conviction in that will work in whatever situation you're finding yourself in. Okay, whether it's financial and you want a little bit of a windfall, um, whether that be with a promotion in work or a pay rise or a bonus, or perhaps premium bonds, little sum of money, or someone gifts you something, or um, whatever it is. Okay, we do this with weight loss. Okay, it's like, well, what's an easy poundage to lose in a week? And that you'll get somewhere between kind of half a pound and 2 pounds, and depending on what coach you work with, and depending on how kind of extreme the diet and how extreme the exercise, you probably 2 pounds is probably um, doable for most people. Um, as long as they, again, there's a belief factor in there. If you're 100% convinced that you can lose 2 pounds a week, you're going to lose 2 pounds a week. If you're 100% convinced that you're not going to lose any weight, you're not going to
Don't
lose
you
any weight.
think
Sorry. Um, so I think I've said the same thing kind of numerous times there. You will always get what you believe is normal. Okay, what's normal for you? Okay, and that is so what is normal is something that you are convinced is going to happen. And it happens so regularly you call it normal. And so again, if I come back to the running example, so 2 weeks ago I decided, you know what? I'm just going to see if I can run 10 miles. I planned a little route. I kind of knew where I was going to turn around. It was an out and a back. Um, I was like, okay, I'm just going to see if I can run it. I don't care what time it is. I had a 3 hour window, just in case, I needed to walk significant amounts of it. Um, and it took me 1 hour 45, 1 hour 50-ish. And today, same route, again, about 1 hour 45. And my next step, I'm just going to go, oh, do you know what? I'm going to Well, my next step is to run a half marathon. I'm just going to do that one day in the next week or two. And again, I don't care what time I get. I'm just going to make sure I've given myself enough time. I'm going to have an idea of the route and just going to go, right, yeah, I'm going to run a half marathon. Um, and I'll be walking probably fairly significant amounts, and it will not be particularly fast, but I'm just going to kind of prove to myself that I can convince myself that I can do it. I'm going to convince myself that I can do it. Um, and then I'm just going to do it. And then a client I had today, similar kind of story. He has never been able to do pull-ups. And a few weeks ago, I basically said, look, you can do them. And because, he's not heavy, he used to be a heavy guy. And I suppose, the last few years, he's been kind of bouncing around somewhere between 70 and maybe 85 kilos. And um, I think he's towards that 70 end at the moment. I was like, for a guy your weight and height, he's about 6 foot. It's like you should, and the amount he trains, you should be able to do pull-ups. And he's been on the assisted pull-up machine for years and years and years and years. He had this kind of mental block of, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. I said, look, just go out and do them. Okay, just get off of that machine and just go out and do them. And today, well, not today. Today he told me um, he did 17 across 4 sets. So he went out and just did five, another five, with a break, and then I don't know, a four and a three or whatever it was. So from not being able to do any completely unassisted pull-ups to be able to do 17 unassisted pull-ups across a few sets, even just five in one set is quite a big jump. So that was very cool. Mostly because he decided he could. Um, and got rid of that voice telling him that he can't. Okay, so that's what today is all about, really. Okay, it's just getting rid of that voice that's telling you that you can't, okay, and just going, right, I can make this step. I know with absolute certainty I can get one extra client. I can get that extra phone call. I can get that um, extra distance in a run. I can with 100% confidence lose that pound. I can, with 100% confidence, go from a four, with four, one being bad and 10 being good. I can go from a four to a six in the next few minutes by doing something that pops into your head through intuition. Okay. And when it comes to the body, you've got a huge range of things that you could look at. We've got eyes, we've got jaws. Okay, so even just moving our jaw left and right can change pain in a shoulder or in a hip or pretty much anywhere in the body. Okay, moving our eyes left and right and up and down and diagonally, shaking our head left and right, up and down, and all these kinds of things that can change pain. That can change how our body moves. And we've got pulse points, and we can muscle test, and we can do all these things. Okay, so there's so many things you can do. Okay, for your body. Okay, and you might even you might even go right. We might use our body and have a finance thing in mind. Okay, so it's like, okay, what can I do right now that I can want with 100% conviction that's going to help me to gain one client. That's going to help me to gain a promotion if I do this thing now. Okay, and it might be tapping on my chest for a minute. Okay, I'm not going to do that, but that was the first thing that popped into my head. For some reason, I don't know why, that's going to help me with a 100% conviction. Yep, feels 100%. Help me earn a little bit of extra money. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. Who knows when? It doesn't matter. Okay. And it builds belief in yourself. And that's really what we need is a belief in ourselves that we can do not necessarily impossible things, but unusual things. Okay. So it's unusual to be able to just sit there and go, yep, my calf is now more relaxed. There's less pain there. Da, 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 da. Okay. That's an unusual skill. Okay. But it is a skill. Okay, and we need to learn how to do that. Okay, and then you can learn how to do that in other areas of life. So I hope that's all made sense. I've waffled on a little bit and repeated myself numerous times in the last um, 15 minutes. So, yes, I want you to set yourself a challenge. Okay, it could be physical in terms of, let's say, getting rid of pain. It could be um, in terms of running a distance. Okay, there's a mental block in running at a certain distance. Um, and let's say it is running. Okay, you don't have to run the whole distance. You can run, walk, run, walk, run, walk as many times as you like. Just do a distance that is beyond what you think you can do. Okay, it could be again clients. It could be a relationship thing. It could be whatever it is, whatever is affecting, whatever's challenging in your life right now, what is a step that you can take that's going to move from a four? And you know in your head, if I do that thing, it is 100%, it's going to work to some degree. Okay, it's 100% going to take me one step up at least. It might take me two or three or four. Okay, and do that. Okay, and maybe in some areas of life, you are doing that already. Okay, and it's quite natural, but in other areas of life, we might not be doing that same um, thing. Okay, it doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So we will get down to treatment side of things. Yes, let's do that. Okay. So if you're not already, find yourself a nice comfy position and breathe. Nice steady rate. Whatever feels peaceful to you. And just start by relaxing your body, continuing breathing. And just think about what I've talked about. Think about an area of life that you would like to have a change in. Okay, you could think about an ideal situation. You're 10 out of 10. This is what is absolutely perfect. And maybe you feel like that's too big of a jump, and that's absolutely fine that that's too big of a jump. So take it back a step or two. And if we're talking about money, and let's say your job is 50 grand a year, and the ideal would be 100 grand a year. Take it back to 90. Does that feel perfect? Does that feel easy? Could that be doable in the next 1 to 3 months? Probably not in this case. Bring it back to 80, bring it back to 70. What feels like would be the next easy step that you could achieve without any great deal of effort? And if you're talking about your body, again, what would be perfect is a certain, maybe if it's running a certain distance in a certain time, and you go, right, okay, well, what would be an easy progression that I could achieve in the next 1 to 4 weeks? Okay, without any extra training, without any extra stuff at all. Okay, what could I do with 100% conviction that's easy? Okay, just notice how that feels. It's like, okay, yeah, my ideal is all the way up there, and that's fine. But at the moment, we're just practicing going from one step to the other. Just notice how you feel in your body when you think about achieving that smaller next step, rather than the complete end result, which is amazing. You could feel how amazing that is as well. But come to that shorter term goal and achieving that, having that one first, that sum of money, that weight loss, that relationship change, that project you've been working on is taking its next step. And just feel the sense of relief or happiness, pride in yourself for having taken that next step, for having achieved that next thing, for being that much closer to your bigger goal. It's hard to remember sometimes that there is no big and small in the universe in terms of our goals. In comparison to the universe, everything is kind of small and easy. Okay, but to us, we've built up mental barriers, beliefs and thoughts, maybe relationships with groups of people, like a group of runners, for example. So, oh, that's really hard, that's really difficult. And they're all saying these things. Or maybe it's a group of mums and friends saying certain things about certain stages of life. Uh, and we end up falling into agreement with things that are not necessarily true. but it's hard to jump out of because, the media is saying this certain things, or people you follow on social media are saying certain things, and in your mind you go, oh yeah, that's happening to me, so therefore I must be that way too. And we don't need to be. We can step back from all those thoughts, from all those beliefs, and just think about our next progression. And let's come back to what can you do without any extra effort, perhaps even with less effort than what you're currently doing. What could you absolutely guarantee and you feel absolutely certain in that you can achieve in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, at most 3 months? Again, just feel how easy it is. Feel the relief. Feel the relaxation. Think about what you would say to me or to a friend or to a family member at the end of the week or the month when you've got that thing, when you've got that extra client, when you've lost that pound or two, when you're out of pain, when you're able to run or exercise or do the thing that you haven't been able to do. And what do you say to them? Short, one sentence, keep it snappy. What do they do or say back? Are they giving you a hug, a high five, a kiss on the cheek, a kiss on the lips, taking you out to dinner, whatever it is? It doesn't have to be. This is not a complicated vision. It's not a complicated thought. It's one or two sentences, and you feel it as if it's happening. You can hear their voice. You can feel the squeeze of their hand. You can feel the high five stinging your palm. Okay, you can, if you, let's say you were in a restaurant, you can smell the smells of the restaurant. You can hear the cutlery clanging on the plates. And you can hear some music. Okay, wherever it is you might be. Don't overcomplicate it. Just enough thought to make it feel right. Just notice what emotion or what feeling in your body you are experiencing right now. Just ultimately, that's your goal. It's actually none of the other things. It's not the money, it's not the weight loss, it's not the speed, it's not the lack of pain or anything like that. It's the feeling of peace and calm or happiness and joy that you are experiencing in this moment. And our job is to aim to remember this feeling as often and as consistently as we can. When we can maintain this for longer and longer periods of the day, the stuff that gets under our skin, the stuff that makes us angry, may still occur, but it won't have such an effect on you anymore. Okay, perhaps it will have no effect on you at all. And when you're neutral and it has no effect on you at all, that's when it's less likely to happen. Okay, it happens fewer and farther between. Maybe it stops happening entirely. It's the emotion to events in our lives that keeps them stuck, that keeps them recurring. And it's because we've forgotten this particular feeling that we have now. Hmm. I heard something that amused me the other day, and it was like, to get to sleep, we first have to pretend that we're asleep. So you lie down, you're awake, you get still, you close your eyes. So you're pretending to be asleep. And then at some point you do fall asleep. To be enlightened or to be at peace, is much the same. At first you pretend, first you feel as if you're already there. And then after some time, you will be there. So if you feel healthy first, you will become healthy second. And this is the process, exactly what we've gone through tonight, just perhaps with a few tweaks to what you're thinking about. I already have the thing that I desire. I already have it. I already have all the money I'll ever need. I already have all the speed I'll ever need. I already have the perfect relationship. I already have the perfect relationship with my children, my parents, my colleagues. Okay, oh, big sigh of relief. Shoulders relax. Body feels no tension. Super heavy, but heavy in a good way. Just heavy because everything's just calmed right down. Again, we're going to rewind right back to where we were at the beginning and your initial goal, your initial conviction, the first thing that we thought about. What are you 100% convinced that if you do it or that you can achieve in the next 2 to 3 weeks about some area of life that you are either trying to improve or have wanted to improve for a while and it hasn't? You're 100% convinced that you can do that distance, you can earn that extra bit of money, you can get that client, you can lose that weight, you can change something about your life. 100% convinced you can do. Okay? Something that's not even going to require you to make any, certainly no significant changes. Maybe a small tweak here and there, but nothing dramatic. Okay? You're not going to need to email 100 different employers with your CV and go for a different job. You're not going to need to learn NLP to be able to speak to different people in different ways and manipulate them in some way to make them a nicer person. You're not going to need to train every day to try and knock a minute off a 5 minute, 5K or a 10K. You're not going to have to starve yourself or do any kind of extreme dieting and exercise to lose a pound or two. You're not even going to have to do any complicated exercises to fix a knee or to do some kind of rehab work in the body. Okay, something you already know, something that's simple. Yeah, fine. But something that's quick, something that you could do now or tomorrow. Just go, yep, that's going to make a 20% change in how that feels. I'm convinced of it. And then later on, you go, okay, yep, there's something else that I'm convinced is going to make another 10, 15, 20% change in that. And then very soon, that ache, pain, or injury is going to be gone. Okay, the key is having a 100% conviction in what you are about to do will work. Okay, even if it's just one step. Okay, this will work. I know it. Okay, when you feel ready, time to open your eyes. Maybe it's time to take that action, depending on what it is. It might be that you need to do that action tomorrow or the next day. It might not be an instant thing that you can immediately do, but one of the main actions to do is that feeling. Okay. What's the feeling of having achieved not only the kind of ultimate end goal? Okay, this is where I want my life to be. Okay, but that can be too big of a jump. Okay, cognitively, we either don't believe ourselves or it's, oh, okay, yeah, that's 5 years in the future, and we never actually really make any progress. And in 4 years' time, it's still 5 years in the future. Okay, it's because you haven't made the steps. Bring it right back. Okay, what is an easy thing that can be achieved without any real great effort, perhaps no change to what you're currently doing, and do you know what? Be convinced that it's going to work. See how that goes. over the next few days. I want you to challenge yourself. Okay. I think I already said it earlier. I want you to challenge yourself in the next week or two to do something that you've either not been able to do for a long time, something you haven't done for a long time. Finish a project like my um, mini Lego set here, 5,600 and something pieces. Finished it after 2 years, a couple of weeks ago. Very proud of myself for for finishing that. It was so fiddly. Um, but it's one of these things that we have. Um, Perhaps we've got many projects that are unfinished. Finish something, okay? Just clean out a cupboard, um, chuck out all your old clothes that you never wear anymore. Um, don't know, some kind of task that you've put off, do it, okay? Or, like I said, if you haven't been able to do a certain exercise, challenge yourself to do it. Okay? Do you know what? I'm just going to go out and try. Okay? And if I do it, I'll do it. If I don't, I don't. And I'm going to give it another try again a few days after the first try. Okay? And again, if you do it, you do it. And if you don't, you don't. And you're going to go again at some point. Okay? It's not like it doesn't have to be every day. All right, cool. That is all for tonight. Thank you for joining. I will get this out soon.